took me to a fancy as fuck steakhouse, and we had filet mignon and terribly awkward conversation. When it comes time to pay the bill, he graciously offers to pay, takes out his wallet, pulls out a folded bill, unfolds it, puts it on the table, and slides it towards me with 2 fingers like this. Without thinking, I grab it, put it on the check, slide it towards the edge of the table so our server can pick it up. He goes, "Oh no, that bill's for you." I'm confused. I glance over at the bill again quickly. I see a Ben Franklin and I'm like, "Okay, Daddy." But I'm still really confused, so I very hesitantly pick up the bill. And you want to know how rich I became? I became this rich, which is basically filthy rich in bullshit. He handed me a gospel bill. A gospel bill is a fake $1 million bill that has scripture on it that tells you to repent or go to hell. He looked at me dead in the eyes and said, "That's the only cash I carry," which meant he had no money and I had to pay.
Hey everybody, and welcome to a special episode of Parrot Gaming Productions, now known as Feathers and Friends. I'm still getting used to the name here. We're doing a cuffing season, and this time I have a wonderful gentleman by the name of Robert. Robert, why don't you go ahead and introduce yourself?
Sure. So my name is Robert Kingat. I live in Chicago. I'm an author and a disability rights advocate, and I just care very much about literature and how that intersects with cultures like the gay culture,
That's awesome,
for
man.
example.
How many books have you written?
Uh, right now, I've written about 3. So one of them is coming out next year. 2 of them are out already. One is under a Creative Commons license. So, because I like to give back to the community.
That's awesome. What cause would it be going to if they did end up purchasing your book?
Sure. So Creative Commons essentially means that you can download it and translate it, and you have a lot more control over the content of the book. So you don't have to pay anything to say make a podcast of it or make a YouTube audio version of it if you want to. You can freely adapt it without having to get permission from publishers or things like that. You just have to credit where the adaptation came from.
That's super cool of you, man. Was that the first book that you ever wrote?
Yes.
That's the way to do it. But that's really nice of you. I know a lot of people are real sticklers about it, especially in today's day and age. So thank you for that, Rob.
Anytime.
Yeah, man. So again, this is one of the special episodes for the cuffing episode, and you kind of, when you agreed to do this podcast, you kind of helped me figure out how I was going to do this podcast. I was going to release 3 separate episodes throughout the week, and I'm actually going to put you out relatively shortly on Wednesday. And each time I'm just going to follow it up with another episode, because finding people for a cuffing episode is really difficult. And I didn't know you were from Chicago, so you know exactly what cuffing is then, right? Cuffing season?
Actually, no. No, I don't.
Well, it's funny that you said... Oh, I'm sorry, go ahead.
I'm not really huge into sports. Like, I don't know at all. So, yeah.
No, it's okay. Because I'm actually out of Wisconsin, central Wisconsin, right smack dab in the middle of the state.
Mhm.
And so I thought maybe you would know what cuffing is, but cuffing season, at least where I'm from, relates to people partnering up for the winter season just simply because they don't want to be alone for winter.
Oh, gotcha.
Yeah.
Yeah. So the reason why I might not know that it is because I'm actually not n natively from Chicago. I'm actually from Florida, where
Ah.
cuffing does not exist.
Yeah, I mean, if it's 60 degrees all year round, I wouldn't need a reason to partner up with somebody for the winter.
Right. Exactly.
When'd you move to Chicago?
I moved in 2012, and I just never heard that expression. So
Hmm.
or turn of phrase.
The place that I've been living at, I moved in to my place in 2012. So as long as you've been in Chicago, I've been in my apartment.
Yay.
Yeah,
Cool
that's kind
beans.
of awesome. So Robert, I guess we'll just kind of start off with the cuffing episode because I'm interesting. How did you describe yourself to me? Because I thought the way you described yourself was interesting.
Sure. So I am a totally blind gay male that reads way too many books.
What when you were younger, did you always know that you were gay, or was it kind of one of those awakenings in high school, like some people have?
Right. So when I was younger, I always knew that there was something different about me. Um, I couldn't really put my finger on it because I didn't have any gay role models or anything around me. So I just kind of, I am what you would call a late bloomer in terms of learning about sexuality and everything like that. If you're heterosexual, you learn how to navigate your own sexuality at a very early age. Um, but if you're gay, you don't have those kind of instructions and social nuances that heterosexuals have growing up. So, which is why you see a lot of gay people are more into having sex than heterosexual people. You get things like not really knowing if you're gay throughout your teenage years, and then just kind of learning that that actually, yeah, well, the reason why I have an erection um, around men is because I'm actually gay. So it's so yeah, but luckily though, that is changing with the younger generation.
Hmm.
They get you know, LGBT people have have sex education classes geared to a wide array of sexualities, whereas my generation didn't really have any of that. So,
Yeah. And for those of you who are now 8 or 9 minutes into the podcast, the reason why there's no video, I'm having some technical issues on my side. It was making a lot of it really bad. I think they may be working on my internet, so I apologize to everyone out there who is trying to watch this. I'm going to overlay some video game stuff on this, but this is one of the few episodes where I'm having some technical issues. So my sincerest apologies to you and Robert for no video. But you know, it's funny that you mention the whole sex education, because I remember when I was a teenager. I'm 30. Yeah, I'm 34. I can remember
Hmm.
my own age. um,
32. So,
oh,
yeah.
nice. Yeah, so we had the very same sex education. You know, you always had that one goth chick or that one girl who was way too open with her sexuality, and you didn't really understand your body to begin with, and that was kind of
Right.
interesting. Was there a date that you went on with another guy that really just kind of opened your eyes, and you're like, yep, this is the right path for me. This, I 100% know why I'm out here. Or was there a moment that you found yourself where you're just like, yep, I know my path in life now?
There, it actually was more of a moment rather than like a date or something.
Okay.
So I was kind of, well, I mean, I was pretty much in the closet, not by choice. Like I said, I didn't have any gay role models or and anything like that.
Mm-hmm.
And so the place I grew up in was very, very socially conservative.
Mm-hmm.
So I just didn't know how to come out or who to come out to or basically how to come out.
Mm-hmm.
So I was kind of drifting through um, through my teenage years, secretly talking to gay men on MySpace. And for the younger kids, that was like a much cooler version of Facebook.
Yeah. Yeah.
um, yeah, yeah. So MySpace was like it was my gateway to really exploring um, gay men and talking to them and everything. Except I had to do it in secret because I didn't have a computer at home. So I would go on MySpace at the school library, which is something you're definitely not supposed to do. Uh, but I did it anyway, and like I was very tech savvy, even back then. So I would skirt around the school's systems in order to log on to MySpace and make sure that my browser history and everything was cleaned out and everything. Except even after talking to men on on MySpace, I still didn't really know. Um, and then I got into my 20s, with where I had gay sex for the first time, and once I lost my homosexual virginity, I guess you could say,
Yeah.
that then I just kind of knew that yeah, I'm just not at all sexually attracted to women. So it's a combination of late bloomer slash hiding in the closet until you're an adult and things like that. So,
Okay. No, that
but
makes a lot of sense. Yeah, I remembered very early on a lot of the like the Power Rangers, and just kind of the early live action shows when I would you'd see like the Pink Ranger or the Yellow Ranger, just kind of
mhm.
I think I was actually in a podcast the other night talking about Sarah Jessica Parker and Hocus Pocus.
Mm,
It was kind of at that young age where it was like, yep, there's something special about that woman I don't know yet. So I
right.
whoops.
Exactly.
Yeah, I
Right.
definitely feel that. Um,
Yeah.
Now, you told me something a little bit early on too, that you weren't blind your whole life, which I guess that was a misconception that I had. When did you actually lose your sight?
Right. So I lost my sight actually 3 years ago in no wait, hang on. 2020. Yeah, 3 years ago. I never was good at mathematics. So yeah. In 2018, I quite literally just woke up on my birthday and I hopped in the shower and I got out of the shower and I'm like, oh hey, why is everything so dark? I guess we're having like a light outage or something, a power outage or something. And then I went outside and then I'm like, oh, I can't see anything actually. This is not a power outage at all. So
Wow.
so I just kind of woke up on my birthday, had vision before jumping in the shower, and then after I got out of the shower, that's when I didn't have any vision anymore. I went to the emergency room on my birthday, and so the last thing I got to see was a Chicago emergency room,
Holy shit.
which like should honestly go in the Guinness Book of World Records for the worst birthday in history.
Yeah,
So,
that would be a shitty birthday. That would be a horrible
yeah.
birthday. What what ultimately caused it? Was it something that just happened, or did your eyes just quit on you?
So it's so if you have any doctors in your audience, they will know right away when I say acute narrow angle glaucoma. So,
Okay.
which is a very rare case of glaucoma. I'm not even sure how it happened. Because in medical terms, acute means I think it means rapid onset, I think, or something
Okay.
like that. I mean, I'm not a medical professional at all, so
Yeah.
yeah.
No, I
So
got you.
yeah.
That's wow. So that I mean that would just be weird to walk like so your life pretty much drastically changed overnight then. Or
Yes.
okay. Um
Yeah, but I mean, to
mhm.
clarify, I was legally blind before 2018.
Okay.
So I could see out of one eye. I could see pretty good, but I um, did not have 20/20 vision.
Okay.
So yeah,
So you were a little fuzzy to begin with, and then it just kind of all of a sudden decided to shut the lights off.
yeah, yeah. But I mean, it was still a massive shock to me because I had enough uh, vision to where I could read text in video games and things like that.
Okay.
So when you just wake up and you can't play video games anymore, or do the things that you would normally do, that's still a culture shock, even if you were using a cane or going on dates or anything like that
Yeah.
previously.
I mean, I can't liken it to anything I've ever done before. The only you have my deepest sympathies because I use sight for basically anything and everything I do. You have my hat is
That's
off to you, sir.
what I did too. I mean, I took my remaining vision for granted. I truly did. And so this is just kind of a heads up to your audience that you really should never take anything for granted, because it could be gone tomorrow.
Tomorrow morning when you take that shower, just be careful, everybody.
Right? Yeah. Right.
I'm sorry that the joke was there. I apologize, Robert.
No, it's okay. I have a very warped sense of humor anyway, so
Perfect.
works totally fine. Anthony Jeselnik is my favorite comedian, so that should tell you right there.
Yeah, I know of Anthony. I have heard some of his stuff, and it is absolutely beautiful. I love it.
Yep.
Now, I know that we're talking about a lot of stuff because I'm very genuinely curious about everything here. Um, Now, dating as a gay man, when you did have your sight, how much of dating for you was based on the physical aspect of sides?
So this might actually be kind of interesting, but the way my vision worked was I could see contrast really, really well.
Okay.
So whenever I would date, I would try to get a man with a darker skin tone than me, so that way I could actually see them.
Okay.
So that I could actually see their facial expressions and everything like that.
Okay.
Uh, but when you explain that to people, that just sounds weird, right? Like, so I had a lot of like raised eyebrows, like kind of like a WTF moments whenever I would explain this. And also, I was really looked down upon because I was not as experienced in the gay community as so many others.
Mm-hmm.
So that really left me socially isolated in terms of a dating pool.
Mm-hmm.
And, you know, the gay culture has all these lingos and slang terms and things like that. And I didn't learn those things until after college or even in college. So I was at multiple disadvantages, which caused a lot of people to just write me off as just either weird or too much trouble or not even worth it.
Hmm.
And then you had a lot of people thinking that I was lying about my vision and that I just really liked black men for the sake of their skin color and nothing else. So that was extremely hurtful to me
Mm-hmm.
because I care very, very, very much about social justice. So that was just like a constant blow after blow.
Mm-hmm.
Um, it's like I a lot of people really take social skills for granted. Like I had social skills. Like I could hold a conversation, of course. I mean,
Mm-hmm.
easily, even though I was an introvert. If you just took the time to get to know me and really learned where I was coming from, then I think that that I would not have had such a hard time keeping anybody interested in me. But the majority of the dates and things that didn't work out, um, and this is where intersectionality really comes into play.
Mm-hmm.
So you had a disenfranchised social group, be it Hispanics or African Americans or things of that nature,
Mm-hmm.
and yet they would just not really care to learn anything about disability or disability culture. They didn't really care to know me if I exhibited any lack of knowledge about the gay culture. So it was a very much kind of, if you know it, then I will give you time and attention. Um, but if I have to teach you everything and hold your hand, in their eyes anyway, then you're just not worth it. I will just move on. So,
I got you. That I had a very similar. I always like to throw the polyamorous community under the bus right
mhm,
away because I tried to venture into polyamory, into an understanding of polyamory, and I reached out to that community to ask if I could interview a couple of guys, a couple of girls, and I didn't care. Um, who they were as long as they identified as men and as long as they identified as women. I was being very open to anybody and everybody, but apparently, I guess it had already been done, and I shouldn't have done it again. And it didn't matter that it had already that I was trying to gain a perspective. It'd be like trying to learn about something from a Joe Rogan podcast. I mean, there's only so much,
right,
and
right.
I'm not knocking Joe because he has a lot of amazing people on his show. But at the same time, it's like, yeah, but Joe didn't ask the questions I wanted to ask. He didn't go into that, he didn't go into tunnel B and C. He went A, D, E, and F. I want to know about, these other things. I have questions myself.
Hmm.
And so this one woman was very rude to me, and it was just kind of funny because uh, she was just like, go listen to this podcast and learn it that way. People shouldn't open up to you. I was like, yeah, but I want to learn. That's just plain and simple. I would like to learn about
Yeah,
you and
yeah.
understand and become an ally, but apparently that was too much.
Like I don't think, like I truly don't think that anybody, with the exception of a few, of course,
Mm-hmm.
but I really don't think that anybody, that the majority of people, I should say, are willingly ignorant to
Mm-hmm.
things. Like, I truly think that if you sit down and talk with a person and maybe educate them a little bit more, then they will become hungry enough to learn more, more things. So, but I guess a lot of people are so wrapped up in their own culture, they think that not everybody has the same knowledge that they do, and so it creates this sort of juxt uh, position where you want allies, except you want your allies to come ready with the same knowledge as you, and that's not that's just it's
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 not
not
feasible.
re- yeah, yeah, exactly. I Now, on the flip side of that, in terms of me, for example, if you give me a little nugget, then I- I'm tenacious enough to look it up on my own and really research it and things like that. But you have to give me that little nugget.
Yeah.
You have to lead me down that path or get me started on it. You can't just shut the door in my face every time that I don't know each and everything that you do as part of your lived experience.
Mm-hmm.
In terms of the gay community, though, it seems like a lot of them are just not even willing to learn about disabilities and disability culture, which is a shame because intersectionality plays a big part in my life and your life and a lot of people's lives.
Mm-hmm.
So if you really care, about social justice, you really need to examine how things intersect. Like you can't just focus on the indigenous experience
Mm-hmm.
without looking at disabled indigenous people, and yet I see it happening all the time. So,
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And if, like you said, if you give me a nugget, it'll help me out with my research. And do you know a gentleman by the name of Daryl Davis at all?
no, I don't think so.
He's not a it's somebody that you'll come across randomly, but I forget what made me think of it here, but Daryl Davis is a black blues musician, and I only say that he's black for this specific reason. He has converted over 200 KKK members to give up their robes.
Mm,
And there we go. That's why. Because when you're talking
wow.
about intersectionality, if I'm gathering it correctly, because I'm very new words for me are hard, but when you talk about talking and opening up to people and just kind of exploring each other's ideals and thoughts, these gentlemen who have been with the KKK are these wild radicals, and Daryl would just befriend them, and they would have a conversations, and all of a sudden friendships would just blossom between the two. Oh, I like blues a lot. Oh, I'm a blues musician. Come watch me, play, and just the way that he would interact with them and find out that they're not that far off from each other, you know.
Y-
So.
y- yeah, exactly. I mean, intersectionality, it just basically says that you should look at things in a multifaceted way and see how minority groups intersect with each other. For example, someone might see black issues and disability issues as two separate things, except when you really look deeper into things, you'll learn that lot of a lot of the same issues overlap with each other. The unemployment rate, discrimination, and and knowing how those types of discriminations intersect is better for everybody involved, and also it says that that you can be that you're not just siloed off as a member of a minority group. For example, you might actually be African American, but way down in your roots, in your family history, you could have a lot of indigenous people in
Okay.
your family history. You could be Asian American and have a disability.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah.
Yeah, I actually, as you were explaining it, it helped me to look at a little pie chart here. Well, I call it a pie chart, but it was more of a couple of drawings where I Googled intersectionality, and as you were explaining it, just looking at the pictures really made me realize it. Like, yeah, it's just, I think I still actually have it up here, where it's like intersectionality is a lens through which you can see where power comes and collides, where it locks and intersects. It's the acknowledgement that everyone has their own unique experiences of discrimination and privilege. That is by Kimberly Crenshaw, and it's this beautiful little pie chart of where all these just circles are put together, and they cross over into each other. So it doesn't matter who you are, what you are, or where you think you belong. At some point in time, you're going to come across somebody that has had the same issues you have had, just under a different lens.
Exactly. Yep.
That is so dope. I sounded smart for a second there, Robert.
I tend to do that to people.
Well, that is about as smart as this podcast is going to get for a little bit, Robert, because the original reason that I had you on, besides to learn about you a little bit, is cuffing season and the bad dates. So, sir, I am very interested. Do you have one or two horrible dates that you could tell me about and really it extolled upon me how bad it can be?
Yes. So I've had one tragic date and one comedic date. So which one would you like to hear first?
I was going to say, I want to hear both of them, but we want to save tragedy for the end because that is how they all end. So let's start off with comedy and then end it Romeo and Juliet style, where it becomes a tragedy. So
sure thing. Okay. So the dating app I used to use a lot is OK Cupid. Because it was designed so that way you didn't come across heterosexual people if you didn't want to. So it made it really easy for me to sift through the profiles and everything. So me and a guy offered to meet up and to go to a museum or something, or some kind of performance art kind of thing, or visual art or something like that. And I told him very early on, I said, hey, just so you know, I'm legally blind, so if we could maybe do something a little bit more auditory, that would actually be great. Like go to a comedy club or show or something. It's like, oh, okay, I had this great idea. We're gonna go to a show, and I'm like, okay, this is cool. And I stupidly did not clarify what show he meant. So I meet outside of this museum, and he sees me with my cane and everything. He's like, "Oh, hey, so do you want to go to the art show now or later?" And I'm like, "Well, but I to, I, t- I told you early on that I'm legally blind, so could we do something else?" He's like, "But I already picked it." He started whining, so I'm like, "Oh, okay, let's just go to this art show thing." So I went to this art show, and he was really excited, but I just like had this listless like glazed look in my eye, like I was daydreaming half the time, and he was completely oblivious, and he kept asking me the whole time. He's like, "Well, did you see this?" I'm like, "No, the pictures are too far away, and they won't let me touch them or get close to them or anything. So why would you
Wow.
bring a person who who is legally blind and who has a cane in his dating profile pictures?"
Now,
And
I have to clarify, Robert. Just
yeah,
for my own comedic purpose here, is it the red and white cane that we all
yes,
know? Oh,
yes,
okay,
yes,
okay.
yes,
Wow,
clearly visible in the picture.
wow. You met a winner, big guy.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. I mean, he was. I mean, for all intents and purposes, he was very yummy looking. He
That's
was
a word
like,
I haven't heard before.
like, 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 like he was tall and he had broad shoulders and everything. He was very lean and he just, but I it was even in my profile like, hey, I'm totally blind or legally blind, so make sure, so I'm not able to send pictures or things because I don't have a lot of pictures
Yeah.
because I just never saw the value in pictures. So um and and I just I just I just I just don't know what to say about that. So, so the
That
so needless to say, when we left, he's like, "Do you want to do that again?" I'm like, "No, I think I'd rather date someone else. Thank you."
oh my God,
So,
that's great, man.
oh my goodness.
I I have not heard the term yummy in a long time when referring to somebody you were interested in dating. Thank you. That
I,
was that was
but I compared to the Gen Z crowd, I'm like a senior citizen, so
I
so
know. I'm right there with you. It's just I don't when I don't know, it's just I don't when I'm just like when I'm awestruck with somebody, I just I'm not like, oh, they're beautiful, or oh, they're gorgeous. I'm just like, yeah. Yep, I like that. Just
yep,
something
yep.
is simple, easy, and to
Yes,
the point.
and doesn't it just irk you when they are very gorgeous and then you get to talk to them and it's like, oh, everything else about you is ugh.
I had a girlfriend in high school, and
Yeah.
she had like a this is of course back when I was 17, and the hormones were flowing and just everything was there. She had a supermodel friend,
Hmm.
and she opened her mouth and it was like nails on a chalkboard.
Oh God.
Yeah, just I was just like, hey, you know what? Where's Christina at? I'm gonna go talk to her again. I'm sorry I bothered you. So, it was pretty bad. It was pretty bad. And I
Yeah.
find your comment about pictures interesting because every time I sign up for a dating profile, like whether it be on Tinder or Bumble or OkCupid or Plenty of Fish,
Hmm.
I have the same same six photos that I've been using for the last year and a half that have all been exactly the same because I broke up with a girlfriend of mine who actually
Right.
had like a DLSR camera, like a high quality camera, and we went out for
Really?
yeah, and she was really big into photography, and we went out and and one of her parting gifts to me was, I'm gonna take some really good photos of you, and it's
Hmm.
gonna help you get a date. I
Hmm.
get more dates off of my horrible selfies than I did with those like professional high grade photos because people thought I was fake.
That's incredibly hilarious.
Yep. So it was like, great, I'll stick with
Wow.
my shitty selfies.
So the pictures were of such high quality, I guess a lot of people thought, oh, well, these are photoshopped or something.
Yeah, it was the dead of winter. I had this really like I had like a faded white camouflage shirt on that like you could tell was worn by somebody for quite some time, and
Hmm.
like I even I even I did my mohawk up back when I had hair. I got
Hmm.
really fancy with it, and I just like I straight up I felt like I rocked it. I felt like I looked pretty gangster in it, and not so much. I mean, like she thought I looked good, but like it's the dead of winter. It's like -10 degrees outside, and I'm in a simple little sweatshirt hoodie type thing. So like I really went all out to look really good for this stuff. But a lot of people are just like, you look fake. Like one girl was like, "Are you real?" I was like, "Yeah, last I checked, I'm pretty real." And she was like, "Oh, I had no idea." I was like, "Yeah, this is the story behind the photos." And she's like, "Oh." I was like, "Why?" She's like, "Oh, a lot of us just thought you were fake." I was like, "Oh, that's cool."
Oh. I love how you just took it on the chin, like, oh, okay, well, that's cool.
I've I've had 50 plus girlfriends throughout my entire career. A lot of it is more of like a week or two, where we
Mm.
date at a time. I was also military for a number of years, so a lot of
Mm.
my relationships were real quick, real short.
Mm.
And I've had it just to me dating and getting turned down is almost kind of a norm now, especially now that I'm 34. Like,
Yes.
so to me, when I get turned down or when somebody says something a little harsh, I'm just like, oh, I've heard worse in basic training. That's cool. Like, congratulations. Like, cool. I'm gonna finish my breakfast for dinner here. That's fine. You can leave. I'll pick up the check. So no worries.
Yep, yep, exactly.
All right. It is time for Romeo and Romeo, as it were. So let's hear the tragedy, my man. Let's hear the tragedy.
Okay, so the tragedy, this one actually, like, it started off with, like, red flags going everywhere, but I guess
No,
I'm just,
no, you don't get a gloss over. What were the red flags?
yeah, so the red flags were like, he looked me up on Google and he's like, "Oh, I see that you're a journalist." And, and I'm like, "Yeah." And he's like, "Oh, well, I don't read very much." I'm like, "Oh, okay, that's cool." And he's like, "Do you want to know why I don't read?" I'm like,
Mm.
I'm like, "Well, no, no, I mean, let's save that for when we have dinner and things like that." And he asked me, "Are you into conspiracy theories?" And at the time, I'm like, "No." like not even thinking that there's a reason why he asked me if I'm into conspiracy theories. So I, but he was nice otherwise. He agreed to meet with me, which I guess I was just so desperate at the time. I was just like, here's a sighted person willing to actually go out with me. So I'll just do it. I'll just go.
How long ago was this?
Oh, this was like when I was in my early 20s, so 23, 24.
A lot of things are coming together now. A lot of things are coming together. All right.
Yeah,
All
yeah,
right, Robert.
yeah. So I go and I pick a restaurant that I can actually afford, and he
Smart.
gets there. Yeah, yeah, and he gets there, and and we start talking, um, and he's like, well, after looking you up and everything, I thought it was really interesting that you do all that horrible stuff. And I'm like, I have no idea what you're talking about. And he's like, oh, journalism. You do media, media propaganda, for the, for, for, for Jeff Bezos and all those things. And I thought he was joking. I'm like, oh, well, I'm a freelancer, so I don't really work for any one organization. I just pitch things and I hope that someone buys it. And But after that, things were fine. Things were cordial, and we actually had a good time laughing about every other thing apart from books and media. Whenever I would swing the conversation around to media, though, that's when the conspiracy
Mm.
theorist sort of came out. He's like, at one point, I he agreed to drive me home and everything, and I'm like, oh, okay, that's cool. And um, but he told me, he said, I don't read books, because books are just portable propaganda devices that you could carry around in your pocket, and they're more dangerous than TV. I'm like, okay, let's move on to another subject. So we,
Great.
so so once we moved off the subject, though, he was really nice and he was really charming. Um, at one point, at the end of the meal, though, he asked me, he was like, "Oh, so do you want to go back to your place and then we can have sex?"
Huh.
And at that point, I'm just like, oh, like I'm just really not in the mood to have sex with someone I just met, And he's like, oh, that's okay. I'll just drive you home.
Hmm.
I'm like, oh, okay, that's cool. Thank you, because I took public transit there. He had his own car, so
Mm-hmm.
he offered to drive me home. So at this point, it was night, so I
Yeah.
couldn't see anything anything whatsoever. So we pull up somewhere after an exorbitant amount of driving, and then he's like, "Okay, we're here at your house," and I'm like, "Cool." So I get out, and if you've lived in the same place for a long time, you just instantly know your driveway, you know, like the sidewalk, you
Mm-hmm.
know things, you know things, even if
Yeah.
you can't see them. Yeah. And so the second I got out and my cane hit the slope, which is not supposed to be there, I'm like, oh fuck. And then I turned around, but he pulled away and he left me there in some unknown location. So I was just like, what just happened? Like,
What the fuck? Are you
I
serious?
I don't know what just happened right now, all because I didn't want to have sex with him. This is weird as hell. And it was at about the same time it is now, almost winter-ish, and it was cold, and I was just like, oh, Jesus Christ, I'm going to freeze out here. So I had to go to a neighbor's place, just any old apartment or store or wherever, and I had to like I had to, and it how do you explain
I don't.
to a person that, hey, you were dropped off by some random guy who you just met and they dropped you off in the wrong area and now you don't know where you are. So I had to have the cops bring me home, and that was the most humiliating experience I've ever had in my life. And after that, I was just kind of like, you know what? I'll just masturbate for the rest of my life. Like I truly don't need that. So yeah, so
Jesus.
that's yeah. I cannot tell you how humiliating it is for the cops to bring you home, and everybody who you happen to live with is like, "Oh my God, what the fuck happened?" And they're like, "Well, like you're not bruised, you're not cut up." I'm like, my ego is forever bruised. I'll never like never date again. So
See,
yeah.
if I was one of those cops, I'd be like, "Oh, you didn't hear? He saved a puppy. Like, he was somewhere in a random part of town he didn't know, and he saved a puppy, so we thought we'd give him a ride home. Yeah, he's cool. Like, way to go, Robert."
Yeah, like the cops were they just didn't know what to say. They were just like, we've seen some weird shit,
Yep.
but this takes the cake. I'm like, yeah.
I mean, because I was a cop in the military for 8 years, and if dispatch was like, "Hey, Jared, you got to go over to this location on base and pick up a blind service member or something like that," they're like, "Hey, go pick up this individual who's blind and doesn't know where they are because they were dropped off by after a bad day." And I'd be like, "Cool, that's a great night. Like that means I didn't have to write someone a ticket. I didn't have to arrest somebody. Somebody wasn't getting hurt. I'm just doing something simple and easy. That's kind of dope." Like to me, that would be kind of cool.
Well, I mean, you have to be
Well, you know what I
driving
mean.
around the city though,
Yeah.
so yeah. So like it was I so the weird thing was was that they had me they it was two cops and
Mm-hmm.
they said we can't put you in the front, so we
Yeah.
have to put you in the back. And I did not know that that the back
Yep.
doors have no door handles.
Yep.
So so I learned something new that day. So,
Yeah.
but yeah, so you would take that call happy that you didn't have to like you didn't have to arrest a guy or or write a ticket or something. Like that's an easy night for cops,
I yep.
even if they're driving around the city.
Yeah, I would. Ellsworth Air Force Base was a small base. It was considered a medium small base, kind of, if you will.
Right.
So we had plenty of territory to cover, but I would take that call 10 times out of 10 every single time to go do something like that. I mean, number one, I'm gonna make a friend. You're gonna tell me the tale of Romeo and Romeo, and
Yep.
then
Yep.
on top of it, we're gonna laugh about it by the end of the night. And I'm gonna be like, hey man, you ever get in trouble? Here's my card. Here's my number. I'll program it into your phone. I don't care. Give me a call. Let me know if you have any issues.
Hell yeah.
Because that's no. Like I'd pull that guy over just to try to find something, even if it was unwarranted. Fuck that guy.
Right.
He's a dick.
Right. Right. Yeah.
So
Yeah. Yeah. Like I was very tempted to give them like his name and the car he drove and things like that.
you guys
But I
ever see a
didn't.
brown Jeep with plates this? He might be doing something funny.
Right. Yeah. Right. Yeah. But like I was just so humiliated that I was just like, well, look, like I just want to go home. Like I
Yeah.
don't want to do any vigilante things. I just want to go home. So, yeah. So,
Well, now let me ask you this, Robert.
Mhm.
That was obviously a long time ago. You said you were in your 20s still, right?
Yes.
Have you gone on any dates lately?
Well, the pandemic kind of ruined a lot of that.
Yeah.
So now it's been kind of ritual dates for me, except those are extremely hard for me because we live in a sighted world
Yep.
and the gay community is very, very much about how a guy looks and so if they want to look at me
Mm-hmm.
and a lot of time they just want to jerk off and everything and I'm just like no, like I want to get to know you a little bit maybe so that way when we're both vaccinated then maybe we could hang out and maybe we could do this in person, maybe hint
Yeah.
hint.
Maybe.
Yeah, yeah, but those kind of things never happened. They were just content with
Being weird over
just
the phone.
yeah, and it's like okay, well, I'm at a disadvantage because they're looking at me and I can't see them.
Yeah.
So, and they're not really doing much talking. They just want to look at me. So that's so actually so virtual dating has never worked for me. So maybe I'm just like just too socially awkward for the masses. So
I mean, I've had some virtual long dates, some long distance dates. There was a gal that I was talking to from Europe for a little while there. She was pretty
Mhm.
cool. We did a lot of phone calls. We didn't do a lot of video calls. We played a lot of video games online, so that was kind of free and easy. Where we'd always just kind of sit in our own little Discord chat, and we'd just, play a video game
That's
together or
cool
something like
actually.
that. Yeah. So I've
Yeah.
because I'm a big gamer, that's kind of how I've gotten over it. I was able to spend the most of the pandemic, you know, dealing with one or two very kind ladies who were willing to give me attention. But yeah, I'm glad that the pandemic is slowing down. I'm glad that you're getting back out there, because just to swear off
Yep.
dating, like, dude, I've gone some time without dating somebody, and even just having somebody pay you that kind of specific attention is
Right.
it's a light in a world of darkness. If I can use that phrase now that
Yeah.
I'm thinking about it, it's a very horrible phrase to say to you. So, yeah. Okay, thank you for giggling at that. Thank you.
That I you hit the nail on the head, because I mean, I sure you can be the best activist in the world, but at the end of the day, human connection is very strong, and if you have if you have a person that really wants to get to know you, that makes you feel like nothing is wrong, in the world, even if it's like a temporary euphoria,
Hmm.
you know. So,
Well, Robert, I want the people to know again. You're Robert Kingett. That's. Do you mind if I spell your last name?
sure.
Yeah, it's Kingett. That's Kingett. You said you're an author. I want the people to know, because you left it on a beautiful note there, and that's where I want to end this on that beautiful note. Tell us where we can find you so we can read your books if we want to read them. Where can we find you, just kind of in general, if we want to learn a little bit more about you and being the author that you are.
Sure, yeah. So the easiest way to find me is to go to my website, which is blindjournalist.wordpress.com. You can find everything there, including my social media, but I should let everybody know that I'm not on social media that much nowadays. So if you want to get a hold of me, just shoot me an old-fashioned email. So, yeah.
Well, Robert, I've got your webpage up here. All of the links will always be in the description for us individuals who want to look them up here, and for all of the individuals that are on YouTube as well too. Just look down in the description below; they will be there for you. Robert, it has been an absolute pleasure having you on today and hearing your stories. Thank you for sharing everything that you've shared with me.
Thank you for having me.
Yeah, just hang tight, and we're actually going to jump into the past, because your stories were amazing enough, Robert, that I'm going to blend you in with another with the other episode of a sex addict who had one of the worst dates of his entire life, and even by my standards, it would be a bad date. So just hang tight, everybody. We're going to jump back into the past here to tell another beautiful story. So just hang tight.
What's the worst first date I've ever been on? I'm so glad you asked. I'm going to tell you right now. Before I met my smoke show of a husband, I was on dating apps. As you do. This man messages me out of the blue and he goes, I like your face. Let's go get some food. I love food. Are you my soulmate? He says, meet me at my house. I will drive us to the restaurant together. Why did we not just meet there? I have no idea. I drive 45 minutes to his house. He's standing outside of it. He walks up to my car and he goes, I've lost my keys. Can you drive us there? Should I have just left him right there and gone home? Yes. Did I? Absolutely not. He gets in, starts giving me turn-by-turn directions. He could have been leading me to an abandoned warehouse and I still would have been like, left at this stop sign? Okay. We end up at a Taco Bell, which is fine. I'm like, dine in or drive through? And he's like, drive through. And I'm like, great, he has a plan. We get to the speaker and he just leans over and goes, I would like 100 hard-shell tacos, thank you. We get to the window. He does one of these numbers. And I'm like, did you forget your wallet? And he's like, yeah. I was like, do you need me to pay? He's like, yeah. I'm like, yeah. I buy the 100 tacos, And I'm like, where to next? And he goes, back to my house. And I was like, okay, this is happening. I'm committed to this now. It's happening. We get to his house, we walk in, his dad is on the couch. I'm like, he lives with his dad. It's fine. The hoops I am teleporting through to convince myself that this decision that I have made is okay is just wild. Walk past his dad into the kitchen. He just starts emptying the boxes of tacos, just releasing them onto the table. Puts 2 chairs at the table, sits down, and he just screams at the top of his lungs, "Let's feast!" I am just calmly unwrapping my taco and taking a bite of it. We are eating hard shell tacos in complete silence. You can hear both of us chewing. It's absolute chaos. The dad walks up, grabs a taco. There's 100 of them. We have so many to spare. He's eating over us, just like standing, doesn't sit, stands right next to the table, crunches, mouth full. He just looks at me and he goes, "Do you want to see my studio?" And I was like, I have never wanted to see anything less in my entire life. It was that moment that I decided this date was completely over, or else I was going to be killed, 100%. I am now just like collecting the tacos because I paid for them. I walk out with boxes of tacos in my purse. I look back and I was like, thank you for this experience. You will never hear from me again.
All right. So I'm probably going to do this like all out of order because I've got you, some dude who moved from Brazil and is now in Canada, and I can't find any girls to tell me their horrible date stories. So
I'm sure there's a lot of them.
I've gotten a couple responses. I asked Reddit and I asked a dating site, and there's a couple good ones. But I don't want to have to be like, hey guys, so check it out. These are stories I got. So yeah. I know. Trust me, I'm not happy. I'm not happy.
Oh, no, I've had some good people. They're like, oh yeah, I have a really great story. What is it? And then they're like, oh, I don't know if I want to be on a podcast. No one's going to see you. Mine's all audio. So what do you care? And they're like, oh, well, I just want to be anonymous. Fucking wear a mask or don't turn on your video and I'll edit your audio later to make it sound like you're a man, whatever.
Oh, I tell people all the time, I'm like, do you want to use one of the girls that I did OnlyFans for? You remember her? Moose. She wanted to be called Moose. I was like, all right, your name is Moose for the episode.
I should reach out to some. See what they have.
Yeah, it was partially by accident. But that's another story for another time. All right, you ready, man?
Sure.
So this is all going to be out of order. I don't know where this is going. We're time traveling. I've brought back a friend, Gaio, with us here. I said it right?
Yes.
Cool. So I wanted to explore horrible dating fails. It is cuffing season here in Wisconsin, and people are hooking up left and right. They're getting ready for the winter solstice. We're going to bear down with it, and that's a horrible joke. Fucking laughing in the mic, man. Come on.
Sorry. So my audio, I'm used to like trying to keep everything separate so I don't step on you. So that's why I just have that habit, especially like being in radio back in the day. So sorry, I'll try to remember to laugh into the mic so you get a reaction and you get not in the void. Sorry about that.
I swear to God, if you don't do it, you're not invited back. I will uninvite you for the next time I want to bring you on.
Okay. All right. I'll
Okay.
stick to the mic. I'm staying on the mic.
All right, Gaio. So you've got some horrible dating stories. Now, are these your own, or are these?
These are my own. Yes.
Okay.
These are my own. They're not made up. They're not from Reddit. They're not anywhere else. I mean,
right.
they're on Reddit because I've shared them a couple of times, but not that I got them from someone else.
All right.
So we're going way, way back. We're going back to the days when dating apps were dating websites, not dating apps. Before smartphones, talking 2007, 2006.
Oh, perfect. Right around when I first started using them.
Okay, I wasn't. Well, AOL was a dating app in itself, I guess. If you
Those are
tried,
that's a different thing. That's another.
that is a different
beast.
thing. That's a different thing. So it's kind of like a whole different argument.
Yeah.
But specifically a dating site. And I think the new feature of it at the time was that you can have your messages from the site forwarded to your phone to SMS, because that's what we called it back then. It wasn't texting, it was SMS. That's how far back we're talking. And I met this chick. She was from the Midwest. I can't remember, but it was not Texas. So I really didn't care. I just knew it was not Texas, and it was cold from where she was from.
Okay.
And she said something to the effect of, she's new in town. She was 19 or 20 at the time, like young. Like I was 31 and she matched with me. I'm like, well, shit, she picked me. So fuck it. Cause my range was, I think I set my range to like 25 and up. Anyways, so she matched with me, started chatting and on text, on messages, whatever, the inbox format that they had.
Mm-hmm.
Her messages were great. I mean, they were just long. I'd ask her, hey, what are your plans? What are your goals? And she'd come back with like a dissertation half the time, right?
Nice.
Really long. And I'm like, oh shit. So I need to like get involved with my answer. So we were just back and forth, back and forth. So it was real good engagement that way. And over, I guess because it was so good, I didn't realize how much time had passed. And it had already been like 2 weeks. And at the time, my rule or mindset was, we're going to hook up by the end of a week. If I'm not in you in less than a week, then I'm going to stop talking to you.
Fucking bad, man.
I'm terrible. I was horrible back then. I mean, I still am bad, but if I haven't gotten my dick wet after X amount of time, then you're wasting mine because I could be doing it with someone else, right? Excuse me.
You're
finally I was, oh shit. Yeah. So it'd been 2 weeks and I was like, holy shit, it's been 2 weeks and I haven't gotten it in. All right, look, let's meet up. And it took about 2 or 3 days of her hemming and hawing, like, oh no, well, this and that. Like, okay, look, I understand you're young. I don't expect you to have money to go out on a date. I don't expect you to have a lot of money. I don't expect you to have a car. I don't care that you work at fast food, because she finally admitted, oh, well, I work at a fast food place. I'm like, all right, fine. Take a change of clothes at work. Just change a shirt. You can wear your work pants or whatever. And I'll pick you up from work. We'll go on a date. And she was like super elated that I was willing to do that for her. It's like, it's no big deal. I mean, hey, you don't have a car. You got to rely on buses. Why wait on you to take the bus home, shower, shit, and change, get ready, be ready at like 10, 11 o'clock at night? We can't do anything. So let me just pick you up at 9 or whatever time it was.
Nice.
So I go to pick her up. And my story that I usually did, or the way I lead the story in, is she said 5 words the entire night. 5.
Did she say that she was shy in person?
No, she did not. Not before, not after.
Okay.
And so this is what really threw me off.
Okay.
I greet her, like, get out of the truck, go shake her hand, lead her to my car. I think I put my hand like on between her shoulder blades or just below that to like kind of guide her or lead her with me.
Okay.
She was petite. She was a tiny little thing. So it's also, I'm not a fan of petite girls. I mean, they're fun to toss and throw around with, but with a date or a relationship, I prefer something more hourglass. So like Ashley Graham, Sofia Vergara. So Sofia Vergara is like my low end and Ashley Graham is like my high end as far as like size wise.
Okay.
And she was like a size 2, like super tiny, super petite. And I remember her name is Alice, and that'll come into play later.
Okay.
Don't remember her last name, but in any case.
I don't want the last name. I don't want to have to do any editing. Remember?
No, I get that. I couldn't remember her last name anyways. So pick her up, walk her up, and introduce myself, and she goes, "Oh, hello." And it was barely intelligible, but I realized, okay, she said hello, no big deal.
It's 2.
No, just hello. No, she said hello.
Oh,
just hello.
Okay.
She kind of like, it was a mumble and then hello.
Okay.
So, and the theme is that everything else was just mumbles, like, what did you say? All right, whatever. Get in the car or get in the truck, get back in, ask her how was work, and it's all right. Maybe she's not shy. Maybe she just has a speech impediment. I'm thinking, because she was kind of shy, but she turned to look at me and just. All right. Do you plan on doing anything? So any question I'd ask her was just a mumble, and eventually I was like, I'm gonna try. I couldn't even get context clues from her reading her face because I'm driving and kind of looking over at her and trying to see what she's saying. And she said, whatever her reply was, is just always a mumble. I'm like, okay, her face is smiling and up. So maybe it was something good. Like, okay, cool. And most of my replies to her replies were, okay, cool. All right. Just acknowledging, just trucking on. Maybe she'll loosen up. So go to the bar or go to Chili's.
Fancy.
Go sit at, yeah, it was. Well, I mean, at that point I was like, should I spend a lot of money on her? She's young and dumb. I could spend $20 and she'll be like, oh my God, this is the best thing ever. And we go sit at the bar.
Such a dick.
I am. Especially back then. I'm telling you. So pre-2010, like if you didn't have a vagina that benefited me in either by putting that vagina on my cock, your lips on my cock, or you had friends that you could hook me up with, you were of absolute no use to me, or you signed my paycheck. Like other than that, I'd be cordial to you, but it would just be like, all right, I gotta go because there's no pussy here for me. So bye.
Okay. I'm learning
And-
so much about you.
So, and for your listeners, I'm a sex addict, a recovering sex addict. And at that time I was deep into it and had no idea.
This
But
will
yeah.
come out after your episode, sir. You were up.
Oh,
this-
yeah.
You're up
Yeah.
in 48 hours. So,
Oh shit. Okay.
Yeah.
So then, yeah, by the time your listeners hear this, then you already know the story.
yeah.
But if there's someone new that hasn't heard this, then there you go. I'm a sex addict. So yeah, I was going through the motions, just shooting the shit. I had more of a conversation with the bartender at Chili's than I did with my date,
Was the bartender
Yeah.
male or female?
female.
Okay.
And that, so everything kind of comes into play later. It'll, you know,
Oh,
that's why I'm dropping little certain parts.
Okay.
So I talked to the bartendress, and you know, like, hey, flirt with her, let her know that I used to be a bartender. Let me get this, and you know, essentially get her to give me more alcohol for the same price and tip her well for it. I ordered, what the hell did I order for her? It was a fruity drink. It was maybe some type of like a mango margarita for my date. She was underage, but you know, whatever. And then I ordered myself, I think, a whiskey neat, and we're just sipping on it and shooting the shit with the bartender, and ordered our food because I asked her, hey, what do you want? I asked my date, Alice, hey, what do you want for dinner? And she said, okay. You know what? Get her the chicken Caesar salad and I'll have something else. I forgot what I had from Chili's, but it was something that was kind of light. Something I wanted quick so we can get the fuck out of there because I was just like, I'm done with this bitch. I'm done.
You were hungry, right? You were hungry.
I was hungry. I was done. I like, you know what? I'm not going to get it in. Let me just be cordial and get her home because this is before Uber. Otherwise, I'd have just left her ass there and let her Uber herself home. But there was no Uber. There was no smartphones. There's no social app. So,
I mean,
you gotta-
taxis, but yeah.
yeah, but I mean, she's working a minimum wage. I didn't want her to have to pay like $80 to go 4 miles because, you know, taxis aren't that big use in Houston other than like at the airport or downtown. So,
You're a little okay. You're getting some gentleman points back. Getting some.
oh yeah, I
gentleman
know.
points back.
So like I said in the last, I'm a chivalrous chauvinist. Like I'm an asshole, but I'm not a complete total asshole. You know, I'm not gonna leave somebody stranded.
Yeah.
So we have dinner. She finishes. I'm half-ass flirting with the bartender, and she mumbles, "Thank you."
Oh, we're at 3. We're at 3.
Yeah. Hello. Thank you. Right. Okay. So try to have a conversation, ask something random like, hey, what'd you think of the meal or the dinner or whatever? All right.
Okay.
I'm not saying shit to you for the rest of the night. Fuck this. I'm tired of your shit. So, all right, let's go. You know, pay for the check. Let's get out of here. Go back to the truck, open the door for her, let her in. All right, whatever. Close the door, get back in my truck, drive her back to her place. She didn't even give me her address, or she didn't even tell me her address. She just like punched it in on her phone and showed it to me for me to put in my phone to get directions.
Okay.
Or, oh, no. There were no smartphones back then. She's just like pointing, like, She like point and mumble. So I'm guessing like, okay, at the light, make a right. Because it was all right, at the light, make a right. Okay, at the light, make a left. You know, she put a hand signal like, okay, slow down. Where am I going? Oh, the apartment building.
Oh,
All right. So it was just, oh my God.
well, I think I figured it out, and I don't want to say it. But keep going. Keep going. Keep going. I think I figured it out.
It should be obvious, but, or maybe not. Who knows? So you know, all right. So finally, we go around, get to her apartment, let her out, and she goes, I let her out and I walk her to her door.
Mm-hmm.
Go to her door. She unlocks it, turns to me, reaches up around my neck, gives me a kiss, and it was awkward because it was just totally unexpected. So it was like she just decided at that moment, I'm gonna give him a kiss, and she just jumps up and like smacks me. So it was caught off guard, but it wasn't a peck. Like she was trying to do like a French kiss or whatever. Like, oh, okay. So I went in for it, give her a French kiss, whatever. She keeps her arms around me, looking up at me, just kind of like, I don't know what to do. Good night. She walks inside her place.
She said good night.
She said good night.
So, well, that's technically 4, because good night is technically one word if you think about it.
Well, I mean, it depends. Like I consider it 2 words, so
Okay.
that's why I said 5.
Okay. Okay.
So that was the 5 for me. Like good night. Yes, I separate.
Okay.
If she'd said good night, then I would probably say it's 1. But
Okay. Okay.
so that's why I called it 5. But she said good night, walked in and left the door half open. I don't know about you, but in my book that means come right in. You know,
Okay,
so
yeah.
fuck it, might as well. You know, go inside. And by that point, I had already started with my asthmia or anosmia, which is basically like smell blindness. So my sense of smell was getting lost back then. So
Okay.
I could still determine a lot of things, but if I noticed a smell, it had to be strong, and it just reeked of cat piss and shit. I was like, oh god. And so I figured out where it was, closed the door to the bathroom, and just followed her to her room. And she just kind of stood there and just like, it was weird because she was stood in front of me and had her hands kind of like clasped in front of each other,
Okay.
but like kind of like hiding or covering her crotch, but she was fully clothed. And so it was just kind of like this weird Japanese hentai little caricature that she was just kind of standing there,
the
and she
weed
just kind of like,
stuff.
yeah. And I was just like, take off your clothes. And she just kind of like did it really like, oh man, I feel such a perv, because she like did it so slow and nervously. And I'm like, you know what, let me help you. And so she just like, she just kind of like, okay, dropped her head, hands to her side. I picked her shirt off, threw her on the bed, pulled her pants down. As I pulled her pants down, her panties came down too, and just below her belly button, in a little arc, it had a phrase, and on the other side of the phrase, it's heart, club, diamond, spade, and it said, "Welcome to Wonderland."
What
Alice?
the fuck?
Yeah, Alice. So it was crazy because she had this little tattoo there with the suits of cards on either end of it, and I was just like, oh, this is kind of clever. I'll give you points. This is a clever little thing. And so that turned me on a little more. I was like, oh shit, this dirty little bitch.
She's a fucking freak, dude.
Oh yeah. Oh my goodness. Yes, she was. However, she didn't give me a head. And even to now, I usually have a rule that I usually stick by. That's, if you don't suck, I don't fuck. Because I know I'm going to make her come. I know she's going to finish. I know she's going to get there. So I also know that most females don't finish whenever they're with a new partner, with any partner. Or sorry, with most partners. And most partners only get them to finish between 20 to 50% of the time. So if I know I can get a girl to finish 90% of the time, then you should be doing me a favor before I give you the favor. So that was just my mindset.
And you're back to being a dick.
Yeah, totally. And so finish off with her, get done. I still had another con. I was like, hey, you want to go again? She just like shakes her head. All right, let's go. Fuck one more time.
Okay.
I get up and leave. It's probably midnight by now. So I go home. And my phone is buzzing, but of course in Texas at the time, I don't know if they have a rule yet about texting or being on your phone, but I just had the habit of not using my phone when I'm driving.
Being smart.
And yeah, and then it also like slid across the seat, the bench seat, and fell on the floor, so I couldn't get to it. Finally get to it when I get home, 12:30, 12:45. Get my phone, check, and I see I had like 5 messages that were forwarded from the website. And finally open them up, and they're like just long, so I can't read them. So I just, fuck it, I'm gonna read them on my laptop. Go inside my place, 1 a.m. the latest. Open up the laptop, and it's just 7 or 8 long messages. Oh my God, it was so great tonight. It was so hot watching you flirt with the bartender, blah, 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 blah. I was instantly wet when you ordered my food for me. I've never had a guy do something so manly for me. And like, so everything I did that night just got her ready to go. Like she couldn't wait to get back to her place. And then finally it ends with, so what did you think about the date? And I'm like, oh man, honestly, that was the toughest and worst date I've ever had to go through. Wow. You only said 5 words. And, you know, I kind of gave her this long message. Like, look, you're great on paper. All these conversations we have, this is what I was looking forward to when we met in person, all this conversation. But you didn't give me any of that. You gave me 5 fucking words the whole night. Sex was a bonus. That was nice. I'll give you that. That was fun. But you didn't blow me. And I don't think blah, 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 blah. And then, so I gave her like a long list of things like, hey, I like you, this, that, and the other. If you want to be a fuck buddy, I can do that. But I didn't like that you didn't give me a hand. And she just replied with, oh, I'm sorry you feel that way. And that was it. So that was my worst date ever.
You're not supposed to do that, though.
I'm not supposed to do what?
I'm the same way, too. Like, when someone asks me, like, what's wrong? Or some shit like that, I don't hold anything back. Apparently, I've learned this over the last... I should have said. I've learned this over the last, like, year and a half. I go from 0 to 100 fairly quick. If someone's like, hey, what's your opinion? Okay. I've learned I have to do this. Gaio, do you really want my opinion on this? Yes, Jared, I do. Get ready, buckle up, buckaroo. So, yeah. You're not supposed to lay that out. But are you fucking serious? 5 words?
Whole night. Five that I understood. She's mumbled a lot. Like there was a lot of stuff that she mumbled the whole night.
That doesn't
count. I
count.
couldn't understand. It does to me. It didn't count. Yeah. And there may have been 2 or other words that I might have misconstrued or misheard. Like, did she say that? Like I thought at the time. Did she say, maybe you're happy? I don't know. Just something. 2 synonyms or homonyms that she said. And, I couldn't tell what she was saying, so it didn't make sense to what I asked or what I said. So I just rolled with it and just ignored it. So it might have been more words, maybe 8 that night, but that I clearly understood was 5.
I would have actually totally done the opposite of what you did at the end there. I'd have been like, yeah, I had an amazing night. Are you free next Saturday? Because like if a girl's like, oh my God, everything you did was awesome. Dope, I have an in.
I mean, on one hand, it was kind of like an ego boost that a woman so young, or a girl, because to me she's a girl, so young was interested in me and wanted me. 19, either 19 or 20. I don't. She wasn't 21, so she wasn't old enough to drink, but she was over 18. She'd moved down from the Midwest on her own, and got her own place, got her own apartment. She was on her own, working at Wendy's. So at least. Yeah, well, and some sense of responsibility to have her own place, take care of a cat, at least, not the litter box, but at least being able to take care of a cat and pay her own rent on her own, not having to have a roommate.
Yeah.
So that gave me a sense that she was more, at least mature in a sense, as far as responsibility. But I guess it was a shyness, and she never mentioned or said anything about being shy or quiet. And I get that I can be intimidating to some people. However, most females I'm with, they say, oh no, I like you because you look intimidating, but I know you wouldn't do anything to me. Like they feel safe with me and feel that I would be intimidating to others. So, that's the response I'm used to. And from her, just kind of like, that was the first time that I can recall that I ever made a female uncomfortable, but still she wanted me. So that was just kind of weird for me, the whole situation.
Interesting.
Mm.
Interesting. Fuck, man. That girl that I was supposed to go on the date with, you remember?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Did I tell you about she was supposed to go disc golfing with me, or was it the second date I was talking to you about?
I don't think we talked about dates. The one thing I recall is when you were on this Black Girl podcast that you were talking to someone, but then by the time it aired, nothing happened. And you were talking to someone else when we last spoke, but you didn't. I don't think you went into detail other than just you were talking to someone new, not the one that I thought.
She was just as shy as your girl. She was not. I guess you would call it audible, but she formed coherent sentences. But she was just as shy. Like it was funny because I went up to the first tee. I was like, "Hey, you ever played disc golf?" She's like, 10 years ago. I was like, "Okay, dope. So you have a little bit of practice." I was like, like I can help you if you need to. And she's like, "Yeah, for sure." So like I go up and I just kind of, I just kind of give it a little. I don't want to show off too much, So I just kind of, but I bombed it. Like I threw one of the best drives I've thrown in a while. I was like, "Fuck yeah!" I didn't even try. And
so you're trying to downplay it, and you do the best shot ever.
I pull one of the best ass curves I've ever thrown in my life, and the wind was just at our back, so it's just like, let me float a little here for you, Jared. I was like, oh, okay. I was like, that's pretty good. And she just kind of looks at me, and she's just like, no. I was like, you're up, hun. And she's like, no, I don't want to. Not after that. I was like, why? She's like, I suck. I was like, you don't suck. I'm talking like 10 to 15 yards of throw. a throw.
Oh shit!
Yeah, so like it was. I got some.
And with
walking in.
the tailwind, still
yeah.
Oh man!
She finally started to pick it up, and it was funny because one of the holes. It was really funny. I was like, just don't throw it in the water. And then she's like, okay, I won't do that. So what do?
Bap!
I put it in the water. And then on the next hole, she puts it in the water too. And of course, I went in the river to get them because they weren't that far. But she's like, oh my God, you went in the river. It's so amazing. I was like, whatever. I washed my feet off. No big deal.
Mm-hmm.
So, but then again, I think it was only like 50 or 60 outside, so it wasn't too bad. But yeah, I hate that. I hate the just.
I mean, you can with that. I think you can break the ice on her to get comfortable with you over time.
Mm-hmm.
The date I had, I think it'd probably take like years of therapy for her to even just whatever. I was just like, nope, I don't want to deal with that. Nope, too much work.
The first date that I went on, I'll say her name because it's super common. Emily, the first girl that like I had one of my truest bluest relationships with. She's the reason why I got into parrots. I don't remember half of what she said within the first half hour that we were eating dinner. I shit you not, we were the only people in the faux restaurant eating dinner besides the family. We were off in our own little corner. They'd like sensed we were on a first date. I could not hear a single thing she was saying. There was no music. There was maybe a little bit of AC, but like I couldn't hear anything. I just kind of looked at her and I'm like, oh, I was like, hey, how's school? And then I'd see her mouth move. I'm like, oh, that's good to hear. So yeah.
Oh man, that was. But did it sound intelligible? Just low?
It was super quiet.
Super quiet. Okay.
Like I had to in supersonic bat hearing.
Gotcha.
Now,
see, with mine, it was just mumbled. Just.
Oh my God. That's now I bring this up, and I don't know if I'm gonna include it in the podcast. So if I randomly fade out here, you fuckers don't get to hear it. I have a question from our dating that made me 100% think of you. So.
Okay.
All right. This is from a lady by the name of Ecstatic Reporter. I kind of half want to ask her on, but I kind of don't. So second date, and he wants me to pay for the movie tickets. So second date with him, and he wants me to pay for the movie tickets, and he'll pay for the rest of everything. Is that normal to let a female pay on the second date? I never pay a cent in dates. What should I reply? He said, quote, can you get the tickets? I'll get the rest of everything, end quote.
To me, that sounds totally fair.
It gets
though
better.
It
gets better.
Oh, go ahead.
So one of my compatriots on Reddit hit us up here, said, do you want to be equal in a relationship or do you want to be a dependent? The choice is yours. Well, oh shit. No, was that not it? Oh my God. She replied, oh, no, sorry. Another thread of this. So laughing face. This shit is normal. This is the shit normal guys have to put up with. So OP responds with, he's a basketball player and he got money. I'll mention that. I want to hear what your take is on that.
Okay, so it shouldn't matter what the guy makes or does for a living, because so there's like a lot of variables because most females nowadays, and I say females because I was in the military. That's what I'm used to differentiating between males and females.
Badge bunnies.
Or that, unless it's something specific like that, yeah, sure. Or groupies or whatever.
I was a cop, and so there were some badge bunnies that are.
Oh yeah. No, totally. I am aware of them and had a discussion with the cop, and he didn't believe me that, regardless of his badge bunny access, I could still outnumber him in a month. But in any case, train of thought. So yeah, so it doesn't matter what the female decides or thinks or whatever, or let me phrase that. It doesn't matter to most males because it's going to be a damned if they do, damned if they don't.
Mm-hmm.
Because females in general are going to say, oh, I deserve equality and I deserve this and I deserve more money and I deserve all this stuff in her work life, in her whatever life. But when it comes to dating, sometimes they forget that they want to be modern, that they want to be equals.
Pick and so then with the feminism.
Exactly. They're picking and choosing with feminism what they want to benefit them. And so whatever costs them the least amount of money, is so there was a phrase, something like dollar-driven feminism or money-driven feminism, where basically, whatever suit them financially, financial feminism. So, whatever suited them the best financially is the feminism point of view that they would take. And essentially, if, say I was a millionaire, whether people knew I was or assumed I was or had no idea, they thought I was just a bum, I would still offer to, hey, you get this, I'll get that, um, which I think is fair, regardless of how much money either of us makes, because if I'm paying for the meal or if I'm paying for the date, then late 1900s misogyny would dictate that I have an expectation or I should deserve sex at the end of the date because I pay for everything. But females don't want to hear that. Females don't want to adhere to that. They don't want anything to do with that. Like, the sex should be their choice. Fine. If sex is your choice, the date is mine. So either you pay for it, we split it, or I pay for it. But I'm setting ahead of time what I want. And that's what that basketball player said. He wants her to pay for the tickets. He'll take care of the rest. And the rest could mean the rest of the date, the snacks at the date, a dinner after, going on a barge or some little romantic thing, carriage ride or whatever, depending on what city they're in. There could be a lot that could happen after that would still benefit her. But I would say or guess that he's testing her to see what she would do. In her response, like, all right, fine. If she's going to be that way, then she's for the streets. She's not for me.
That's what a lot of people actually referred to her as. I kind of found in where the next person down was like, oh, you actually sound like an awful person. And I was like, yeah, doesn't matter. I basically quoted what you said. It doesn't matter if you're a millionaire or if you're an average Joe. This is nonsense of men need to pay for everything needs to stop. It's 50-50. It shows effort, putting time and effort into a relationship instead of just mooching on people to get things. Then comes in the beautiful Tio here. Oh, is he giving birth 50-50 later on in the relationship? I was just like, wow. And then, of course, she called me. She said that I sounded cheap, and I was just like, you sound horrible. So, because I just love when people when people go to these extremes. It just, and that's kind of why I thought of you with a little bit of the extremes, from when you were back in your time. Like, it's just immediately they just go, well, what about giving birth? They're not having kids, dude. Like, chill the fuck out. Like, I have a friend, Natalie, and I don't know why I always have to reference. Natalie is so amazing. She is an accountant for her job that she works at. Her and her current significant other, she will literally draft up, these are expenses, this is what I owe, this is what you owe. And then he pays her, and they literally go 50-50 on everything. I fucking love that. That is amazing. This is dope. Shit, when I had my ice cream bought for me on my first date with a girl a long time ago, because I'd never been to the ice cream place, I thought it was the dopest shit in the fucking world. Yeah, she already has date number 2 in the bag. I don't care how this date ends. I am taking you on date number 2. You step the fuck up. So I thought that was kind of cool. But yeah.
Yeah, and it's nice to be treated. And I think females don't realize this, is that if one little thing like that ice cream, I would guess that you would have been willing on that second date to take her to a steak dinner, the most expensive steakhouse in town, and you cover everything because of that little gesture. And I think, at least for me, little gestures like that go for a long way, especially with males, because we get it so infrequently that it's such a treat that, oh shit, you feel appreciated, loved, whatever adjective you want to call it. That feeling makes you want to do something for that person.
God damn it. Sorry, I literally just finished dinner right before this podcast, everybody. I apologize. Fuck. It wasn't even good dinner either. I tried something new. Well, I tried the green pepper from Tabasco sauce, the green chili pepper or whatever. Mm-hmm. It's good until it all dumps down the back of your throat because you angle your cheese burrito a little bit wrong. So, whatever. That was a fucking awesome adventure that I had to deal with. But yeah, anyway, yeah, no, that, it was just so nice. She had asked me to go to one of the local restaurants or one of the local ice cream parlors around here. And I'd lived here for 5 or 6 years, and the place is literally known. It is so popular. Fuck. Well, whatever. But yeah, it's super popular, and people will travel from all over to come to this place. It is super well. Yeah, my buddy, he's like, dude, they're opening. You want to go? And I was like, fucking chill. It's just ice cream. And then I tried it. I tried it that first night, and I was like, no, I see why people come here as soon as it opens. You know, but yeah, like it was just so nice. Like it was like $3. It was just $3, but still, that fucking just it's yeah, I don't know. Yeah.
No, I get it. I get the whole smitten thing, or the whole just surprise it. Like I said, they could spend $2 or $3 on you, and without it being prompted, like it's just something that they generally do on their own, makes you want to do something for them in exchange. And it's not like a quid pro quo thing or trying to one up the other person. It's just, as a male, we rarely get that. So I know I'm super appreciative of that, and I just want to show it. So.
Oh no, I fucking one upped her. I think I took her to I took her to a local gyro shop around here, where they had the best cucumber sauce. That shit is amazing. I don't know how to fucking end a segment, dude. I don't know what to do. I've never done a segment before.
Right from here. Worst dates, best dates.
Oh,
yeah. Go ahead.
If you hear my voice or somebody else's voice talking after this, you know it's the next story. I don't fucking magic.
And now for our next segment. No, you said now for our next segment, and then boom, cuts right in.
You did it for me. Thank you.
Not a problem.
Oh my god. All right. God, that's so weird. I've never done a fucking segment before.
Oh boy, I have a story for this one. So I was supposed to go on a date with this guy, and he gave me an address and said we were going to go out on a boat. And I looked up the address, and it was just like a dock on the water. And I was like, oh, okay, that sounds fun. I'm going to meet him. And so I go, and it turns out that actually there was a house there, and Google Maps just didn't show it. So I showed up, and on our first date, he walked out in a swimsuit, and we went and met all of his friends. And then while we're out on the water, another boat comes up, and he goes, oh, these are my parents. And it turned out that he lived with his parents, and we were actually at his parents' house. And I had drank, so I had to stay there, and I couldn't drive home, so I had to stay. And I actually ended up staying the night and then never leaving. I'm at his house right now. We've been together 9 months.
What the is my luck with men? For the last 2 guys I've tried to actually date, the first asked for my debit card in a drive-thru, didn't offer to pay for his own food, just straight up was like, hey, can I get your card? Cool, yes, but also I'm ghosting you. 2, this guy just met today, wanted to hang out. Cool, I want to hang out, I can hang out. Texts me, hey, so the cab won't be able to pick me up for a while. All right, let me know when you're there. I'll show up. Oh, well, do you want to just meet at the PX for dinner? Well, I thought we would go to this place. It's not open. Oh, okay. And so I was like, do you want to just grab coffee? Yeah, why don't you come pick me up and drive me over? No, I'm not your chauffeur. I'm not your mommy. I'm not your sugar mommy.
Hey everybody, welcome back to some part of the episode. I've got Sebastian here. Sebastian, go ahead and introduce yourself, my friend.
Okay, my name is Sebastian, or Sebastian, because I'm from Chile, and we have the strange mark on the name, so it's really different. I'm an, let's say, English as a second language teacher from Punta Arenas, Chile.
Oh, you teach English?
Yes, I mean, I try, but I teach. The kids never understand, but that's fine.
Okay. Yeah, so you're from Chile. Like, what part of Chile?
The south of Chile. If you look, it's from Punta Arenas. If you go into Google and you look from Punta Arenas, it's in the far south. I mean, I think there are 3 or 4 more cities closer to Antarctic than me. I mean, I'm closer to Antarctic than probably you or the world itself.
Oh, wow. I didn't know I was going that far south, man. Damn. All right. Well, welcome aboard, my man.
Thanks.
All right. So this is cuffing season, as it is here in Wisconsin in the winter. And I've reached out to a couple different individuals, and Sebastian was kind enough to come out and say he had a couple stories. So I guess let's just kick it off with a good story, man. So you said you had a couple bad dating experiences. So let's go. Let's hear it.
Well, there is one story I mean, it's weird because it was with a girl from Punta Arenas, but it took place in another city, in Santiago, in the capital of Chile. And as context, it's like 3 hours by plane from Punta Arenas, like 3,000 kilometers, 4,000, I don't remember.
You took a flight to go on a date.
No, no, not
Okay.
yet. Maybe that will be in a close future. But
Okay.
it was weird because I was traveling. I think I was in Peru or Argentina. I don't remember. And then I returned to Santiago for stay with some friends and enjoy the city. And this girl, I mean, I met her here in Punta Arenas because we had some friends in common. Well, Punta Arenas is a small city, so if I know somebody, I'm dating somebody, probably I will have 2 or 3 friends that knows her from school, from place. It's like a small place,
Okay.
and we were like kind of friends. And at some point, she saw my pictures and she saw, "Hey, you're in Santiago. I'm in Santiago too." It's like, "Oh yeah, let's hang out." And we were flirting for a while before in Punta Arenas, like, but just as friends, you know. Here's something weird that we spoke in on Reddit. It was
Yeah.
the dating concept on Chile.
Yeah,
Because
the
dating concept in Chile, it's kind of weird because we have the dating with some friends or you have interest, but without, let's say, actually having the concept of date, because you hang out with the girl or the boy and because you know you want something. You say, "Hey, let's have a date," but here is like, "Let's go to eat, let's go to watch a movie, let's go to drink." It's not like having like the concept of date because it's like too much responsibility. Even if you have the interest, because it's like, let's have a date, it's like, oh, things going really serious. So it's like, let's go for a date, maybe something might happen, something not. So
it's very
like,
relaxed.
yes,
Yeah.
it's the same because you have the interest and everything, but it's not like, "Hey, let's have a date, let's go for a dinner into a nice restaurant." No, it's like, let's go outside and see what's happened. And that's what happened with her. So we both were in Santiago. We know that something was going to happen. I was, as a context, I was in Puente Alto. It's like in the south of Santiago. And I have to take the subway to downtown Santiago because we were going into a church. It's not like to nothing religious because there is a story in Santiago. It's the something virgin.
Okay.
And it was like a huge image or a statue of a virgin, and every time the crown moves from the statue, there is a huge earthquake in Santiago. And it happens in 1960 something with an earthquake. It was like 9 point something, and in 2012 maybe there was a 7.6 earthquake in Chile. So the 2 times it was chaos. And she said, "Hey, let's go to watch it." It's like, okay. And we know that something was going to happen. But now begins the bad part, because we met in a subway station, like in the middle of the road. And she was like, "No, I came back from the south, from the countryside. I was feeling like kind of bad." It's like, "Yeah, sure. Okay, no problem." But at some point, we were like flirting in the subway. Everything was going well. I said like, "Yes, this is my moment." And she said, "No, let's go down in the next station." Okay. She go outside. She took 2 steps and she threw up everything on the floor. And I was
God.
like, "God, okay." And I said, "You want some water?" It's like, "Yeah, fine. No, now I'm feeling better." Okay. So we go into the next train. It's like, okay, maybe no kissing today. Anyway, 2 stations, and suddenly, let's go. Okay. And she walked, and this station, it was not like in the underground. It's like upstairs. She go into a rail and she throw up, but into the street.
Oh my goodness.
And
Why would
I
you even go on a
saw,
date?
yes, and this is just the beginning.
Oh my God.
And at some point, she throw up into the floor, into the street, and I saw a car it was a red car. Well, it wasn't red because you get all the pupils on the roof of the car. And
Oh
I
my
was like,
God.
oh my goodness. And I told her, are you okay? Yes. No, yeah. I'm feeling better. Let's go. And I was
Okay.
like, okay, let's go. I say, okay, this is going really bad, but it can be better. Spoiler alert, it didn't happen. Because- and now it was in the subway station. I remember the station. It was Santa Isabel in Santiago, or Saint Isabel, something like that. And she said, no, let's go out. And she go into a trash can and she begin to puke a lot.
Oh my
And
God.
suddenly one old man came with a bottle of water and tissues and say, here you have, lady. And the guy told me, congratulations, you're going to be a dad. And I was like, what? I was like, no, we're friends and no, nothing happened and probably it's not gonna happen. And then she said, no, now I'm better. And I told her, come on, it's the third time, let's go.
Yeah.
But we went into a place. It was in Santiago, what was the name? Main Square, let's say, or Plaza de Armas. So we went to the subway. It was a nice station, not gonna lie. And we were walking and said, okay, we gotta walk 4 streets and then turn right to the right because that place of Santiago is not that safe. So if we went to with the cell phone in the hand, it might be dangerous.
Mhm.
But we were watching that, and suddenly I was alone. I turned around and guess what? Puking again.
Oh, good God. So was she actually sick or was she pregnant?
No, she was sick.
Okay.
She was sick. No, she's not pregnant.
Okay. I was like, that's kind of strange to go on a date when you're feeling like, if I don't even feel 100%, I will not go on a date. You know, I don't want to take that chance.
No, and maybe she was disgusted of everything. No, and then we go into Paseo Humada, which is like a main street of Santiago, and he said, no, I need to eat something. And I was like, come on, you drink water and then you puke like 4 times. It's like, yes. So I don't know. I told her, I gave her some white bread and something like that. And then, no, now I'm feeling better. And then in the same place, she puked. And I was like,
I wouldn't trust her anymore if she's like, I feel better. No, you don't, sweetheart.
I mean, I wasn't thinking properly at the time. I wasn't thinking with the head. not gonna lie. So then I told her, hey, come on, let's go to your house and go back to your house. I can do it, everything. And all of that was in 25-30 minutes. But she insisted and she wanted to go to that place. And then I left her in the subway and she told me, hey, guess what? What? I told her, let me know when you're home, safe and everything. She told me, hey, I'm home. Really? Yes. And guess what? What? I puked 3 times over here. And I was like, why are you telling me that? I mean,
It's so
why?
gross. I don't need to know that. I don't need to know that information.
No, but then she was in the 6th region of Chile, which is basically countryside.
Okay.
And her grandfather had a virus that's really dangerous, and all the family get sick. It wasn't like the hantavirus. It's a virus that gives to mouse and mice on those places, and it's deadly. So her grandfather had it, and it was chaotic. But at least, I mean, she's alive. I'm alive, and she's not pregnant. She was. That's the most important part. I mean, I think it was in 2016, maybe.
Okay.
2015, 16, and since then, sometimes we spoke. Sometimes next year it happened the same, but we were in Santiago on holidays, everyone on each side, but she told me, hey, there is a wrestling event, let's go. And I was like, okay, but please, without puking everything, because it was traumatic. And then we met here in Punta Arenas a couple times, like, but just as friends, because after that, there wasn't room for another intentions because it was chaotic, not gonna lie.
Yeah. Now, it's kind of interesting that you had mentioned, because I know we spoke briefly about how dating goes in, kind of in Chile. Is it more just kind of like a relaxed friendship kind of thing where you go with the intentions of just like, hey, I'm hanging out with a friend, and then if something happens, it happens?
Something like that, because at some point you have interest on the person, and you want to be with her or having a relationship, or or just a one night stand. But at some point it's like, hey, let's go, you have something to do, no, hey, let's go to watch a movie on Friday, or let's go to eat. But when something's gonna happen, same as a date. But the concept, sorry, as a blind date, that's nothing, that's not really common here. It's like, hey, some friends, hey, I have some friends, let's go out, but always with more people. It's not like that suicidal that go as a first date to speak by a first time with somebody.
Okay, yeah, so it's much less pressure on you guys.
Ye-
Yeah, that
Yeah,
that seems like it might be a little bit better than just pre-planning something. It might just that's why, like, when I go on first dates, I always try to keep them very simple. Let's go out, go for a walk, go do something very simple, very easy, so you don't have to worry too much about it.
yeah. And here in Punta Arenas, that's something difficult too, because, well, we are in the south. It's a cold place. It's really rainy. It's really windy. It's like winter the entire year. But today it's kind of sunny, so it's weird. So you say, hey, let's go to drink something. We have some places in the city with lots of pubs or restaurants, but you need to take care of the weather. So let's go for a walk. Let's see the weather. It's like it's not much an option. So it's like you go to eat, to watch a movie, or I don't know, drive the car somewhere else, like around the city. So you need to plan at least like the neighborhood you're gonna be.
Nice.
But with
Oh, go ahead.
okay, no, and I have another one,
Yeah.
another story. This story is kinda weird, funny,
Okay.
because surprise. No, I was studying tourism. That this was 8 years ago, maybe
Okay.
7 years ago. I don't remember. And there was a girl I had a crush since I was in high school, for some friends and everything, because she was like, I don't know, like a punk rock girl who listened to music. It wasn't like that common or mainstream.
Okay.
And I didn't use like social networks at the time, so in parties or little gigs I saw her with some friends, and I was like, okay, she was like nice, a little bit weird, but who isn't weird in this world?
Yeah.
So suddenly I was working and I was using Facebook at the time. Well, I opened Facebook and suddenly on the friend request I saw her name.
Okay.
Let's call her R. I saw her and I was like, who's this girl? Like, oh, she's hot. And I realized that's the girl. And I was like, okay, I had some friends in common. Let's speak. So we were speaking a lot, and she was like kind of sad because we study in the same college, because it wasn't the university, because we have the universities and the one like community college here, but with 2 years career, like technical instead of professional.
Yeah.
And it's kind of, I don't know if that's a thing in the rest of the world.
Yeah, we like here in town we have the main university, and then we have what we call community colleges, which are cheaper, easier, and they're like more trade schools, if you will.
So yeah, it's
Yeah.
something similar. So instead of study 5 years, you study 2, but it's not like a bachelor's degree or something like that. And I was studying tourism, and she was studying, I don't remember, but it was something with education, to help with students that have special educational needs. I don't remember the name, but it's not important.
Yeah.
And I saw her like she was crying in the halls of the school, and I was like, hi. I was like, hey, I'm not gonna ask how are you because, well, I can see you're not well.
Yeah.
And I was eating something. It's like, you want tea? It's like, no, I don't want tea. I want to see that guy probably die dead. And it's like, okay, como chill out. Can I do something? Yes, stay with me. And I was like,
All right.
not bad. Okay, I
Yeah.
was being a nice guy, and we were talking for an hour. We both had lessons, but the conversation was about, I don't know, politics, music, everything. So I say, oh, she's a nice girl,
Yeah.
and I never asked who made her cry, and that's the thing. So then I went to her place because she's from another city, from Puerto Natales, which is the closest like big city, and it's 3 hours by bus. It's like 240 kilometers. So she was living and studying there, and we were like good friends for a while. So she was while she was alone, I say, "Hey, are you home? Let's go to eat something," but without an dating interest, like being friends because she was like sad and
Yeah,
we
just
were
being a
having
good-
nice conversation.
being a good
Yeah,
friend.
like yes, being a good friend, even if we weren't friends until I saw her crying in the school. But suddenly everything changed. So say, hey, come to my home, let's drink something, let's listen some music, and I was like, oh, nice, let's keep this friendship going on.
Yeah.
But she was like a little bit high, and we were listening to music, and wow, blah blah blah. And here is the place where you can listen like careless whisper at the background, and let's imagine that situation, that movie situation.
Yeah.
And we were like that for a month, maybe
Okay.
5 weeks. Like I was like, okay, this is going well, maybe
Yeah.
it's going well, nothing bad. And I asked her, hey, what are we? Because I was in the past, I had a 2 years relationship. So at that moment, I said, okay, maybe this is the moment. And she said, yes, regarding that, I'm having a great time, but I'm in a relationship since last year. And I was like, what? I say,
You're the side piece.
yes, I was. In Spanish, we call the rompehogares, like the house breaker. But to be honest, I look off her page and any picture, and the guy was from the same city, was from Punta Arenas. And I was
Oh.
like, girl, we went to the cinema lots of times, we went to drink, and you never told me. Yes, because we were having a bad time. And I was like, okay, thank God I was the good time, so now I gotta go. My planet needs me. Music. No, and it was kinda bizarre after because I saw her with the boyfriend, and she was like, "Hey, he's Sebs, he's one good friend. He study in the same place that me, so maybe we can go to drink something, the three of us." I was like, I'm sorry, I can't. I gotta go to another place. And she kept looking for me while he was having the relationship and after her relationship with the other guys. And I was like, no. I mean, I know I'm awesome. I know, but you're amazing. You're a good friend, but I don't wanna felt more guilty than I feel after this. Well, now she had a beautiful daughter, and she say, "Hey, you wanna come to the party with my kids?" And I was like, "No, thanks. I know the father of the son, and no thanks."
No, I'm on pass.
No, thanks. Not today. I love you. You're amazing, but let's keep this friendship over social media, please, because I don't want to make the same mistake again. I don't
Damn,
want to
dude.
destroy your home because now you are a mother.
That's insane. Holy shit. That would get me. That would really get me to find out I'm the side piece. Just randomly like, hey, what's going on here? Oh, yeah, my husband's a dick, so I'm hanging out with you for the last couple of months. All right. Bye now. I'm gonna.
Yes, I'm heading out. Thank you for everything. We had a great time, but why you never told something? I mean, her social media was just her. Any picture with the guy. I mean, the guy was a dick, not gonna lie. I'm
Yeah.
not gonna say, hey, he deserved it, because maybe at some point my girlfriend can say, hey, he deserved it. But
Yeah.
he
I
was,
it's so hard because there are women like that out there who they have like their social media, like they have a boyfriend or they have a husband or something like that, and then just their social media is just completely of them because they need to give that illusion for one reason or another, and it sucks. It sucks, but what can you do?
yeah, I mean, and I never asked her because she was crying. And I checked her social media and anything. So I asked out of curiosity after 1 month of actually, like, let's say dating, and I was like, what are we? Friends, because I have a boyfriend. Holy moly, okay. Thank you. Where is my jacket? I gotta go.
Did she ever tell you why she was crying to begin with?
Yes, I asked her because she had a fight with somebody. And that somebody was the guy that's also called Sebastian. So maybe that was why.
Well, I think it's funny that she's like, oh, I just had a fight with a guy, and you're like, oh, okay, that's fair. Yeah, all right, let's roll with it. Let's see what happens.
Yeah, it's like, let's see what happens. Maybe he's a good friend, or let's have a great time. I mean, I had a great time. Much better than the first story.
Yeah.
Totally.
I,
At least here something happens.
yeah, I mean, I don't know which story I would rather choose, but either story has a pretty bad ending. So, no, dude,
Yeah.
wow, like that's just amazing. I give props to you that you would continue that first date. If a girl ever got sick on a date with me, I'd be like, look, here's $20, or do like take an Uber, take a taxi, get home safe. Let me know when you're home. I would have never agreed to just continue the date, even if she's like, no, I'm okay. No, no, you're not. So
Yes, I don't know why I keep up with her. It was like, I mean, okay, maybe she had a hangover. That's fine, but
yeah,
it wasn't a hangover. Yes, and that was like for during an hour, 90 minutes maybe. The
that's
first story, so it was like it was chaotic because it was in the subway, and then we had like a party with some friends in common, and we tell the story, and they were like, come on, dude, come on. It was, dude, you went on a date with her? I mean, with her? And after that, and you're here and you're still kind of friends? I mean, dude, that's bizarre. You are something unique. And it's like, yes, I'm a special, unlimited edition.
not many people can still be friends after even a horrible date or even after dating. So yeah, no, I give you props on that too, Sebastian. That's pretty hilarious.
Yeah, and maybe after that was the right moment when I said, we're friends. Nothing else than that. I
Yeah.
mean, it was it was a trauma, I'm not gonna lie.
Well, hey, Sebastian, those were awesome stories, man. Like, those were a little bit worse than I expected, because I know you gave me a little hint about them, and I know that would almost alter the way I felt about dating for quite a long time. So,
And those are just the dating stories, because in actual relationships I have another kind of stories that are really chaotic.
well, I'll tell you what, man. If people really like this episode, I'd be more than happy to reach out to you and maybe get into some relationship stories because I know dating and relationship are two totally different things. But man, that's awesome. I really appreciate you coming on and sharing your stories with me.
No, thank you for letting me be here, because it's interesting. I mean, it's a new experience. I used to have a podcast, but now it was different. So being on the other side, it's great, and sharing these unique and peculiar things are great. So if you want to hear the stories, reach me out and I'll be here.
Oh, I'm sure I'll be reaching out throughout this entire time frame. I know that winter is coming up here. There's going to be some great stories where people start breaking up with each other right around the holiday season. So I'm sure I'll be reaching back out, Sebastian.
I'll be here.
All right. Well, thanks for joining me. Hey, everybody. You'll probably hear some more stories after this, and we'll just keep kind of trucking from there. Thanks for staying tuned.
About 2 weeks ago, I matched with a boy on Bumble who lives in Memphis who happened to be in town in St. Louis with his friend that weekend. This guy and I hit things off so well that he actually proposed the idea that I come down to Memphis this past weekend and visit him. Every single day leading up to the day before I'm supposed to go to Memphis was going great. Texting every day, FaceTiming every night, no complaints. So the day before that I'm supposed to come down there, I don't hear anything from him. So I text him a Thursday night before I'm supposed to leave just to make sure what time he would like me to leave St. Louis. He then drops a family matter bomb on me, and for the 1% of respect that I have left for this kid, I'm not going to tell you what it is. Couldn't really be mad at him because it really seemed like he was telling the truth. Eventually found out that family matter was a lie. I then asked for a simple explanation as to why he lied, and I was left on red all weekend, only to wake up this morning to be deleted on Snapchat and have my phone number blocked. So yeah, dating, bullshit.
So I do not understand men. I don't. Talked for 2 whole weeks to go on a date tonight. Ghosted. And here I am on a Sunday night about to give a relationship advice when I'm single. But I will say, ghosting, there's no reason for it. Like, from a woman's standpoint, just come out and say it. Like, maybe I'm speaking for a portion of us, but like, I personally, or I think women can definitely handle it. Just come out and say it. Like, we are bad bitches. Like, we don't need you to coddle us. We are fine. Tell it how it is. Say you're not interested or you found something better. Like, there's no reason to just vanish, because we know you didn't. Come on now. Really? We're all trying to find love. Just say it.
It's all good. So why don't you pimp yourself out and tell us where we can find you and all on everything.
Absolutely. So I am the host and producer of a cannabis podcast where I talk to people across the cannabis industry. Super fun, super interesting. You'll learn something new every episode. That's called Beyond Buds. It is sponsored by Peoples California, which is a I won't do the spiel, but it's a cannabis company in California, and they do cool things, including this podcast. So check it out. Beyond Buds, awesome podcast. Can't recommend it higher. Not just because I do it, but because the guests are incredible.
Can I ask? Do you guys get high when you're on the show?
I don't, but I'm not going to speak for anyone else.
Good answer. So, Brett. Now, the real reason why I brought you on here today is I actually just had a fantastic conversation with a gay blind gentleman who's had some amazing Romeo dates, which were actually really hilarious to listen to. And that's why I brought you on, is to talk about you and your dating experiences. So, Brett, I've heard you've got a tale or two for me.
I do. So I no longer, thank God, have to do this, but I used to have profiles on a couple different dating apps and was trying to meet people, which is just fun sometimes, not fun other times. And I had one date that was so memorably bad. We met on Hinge and, just talked a little bit, and I really like talking back and forth on the apps. I don't really like the user interface. I don't like logging on every day. Mm-hmm. So I just try to meet up with people as quickly as possible to, see if it'll work out or not, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, don't want to waste your time. So I suggested the same coffee shop that I was doing most of my first dates at. And there were a couple reasons for that. It had very good coffee, and coffee dates also are just like so perfect because you can cut them really short if the date sucks, but if the date's awesome, you can go ahead and really extend it. And there were a lot of things to do around that coffee shop, so it was a good one. And also everyone who worked there was a friend of mine, so they would never spill the beans that I kept taking different first dates there to the people who were going on the dates with me. They were very discreet. I liked that.
You have literally taken a direct playbook out of what I do. I try to get a date as quickly as possible because I don't want to waste anybody's time. I always offer coffee and disc golf because again, with the coffee, if the coffee's good and you're having a good time, the disc golf is just a hop, skip, and a jump away. And if we're having fun, even if you suck at disc golf, we can giggle and laugh the whole time while we play through. And I'll eventually put one in the river, so that's something we can laugh about. You literally just hit, wow, that's cool.
That's the strategy. You know what? Great minds.
Great minds think alike. Wait a minute. Great minds think for themselves. Whoa.
Oh my god. But okay, so you're taking him. I gotta ask, he or she?
He.
Okay, so you're taking him to the coffee house. What happens next?
So I showed up a little early to get a table. Waited a while, and I was honestly, I like to show up like really early to stuff because I'm naturally a very anxious person and I just don't like to think about it. So I had already ordered myself a drink, was waiting. He showed up like roughly on time, maybe 5 or 10 minutes late, which is normal. It's California. It's honestly weird if you show up on time here. And walks up to me, doesn't say hi, walks up to me and says, "Thank God you're not a fatty."
I'm sorry, that shouldn't be funny, but it is.
It's hilarious. And you know what? The date didn't get better from there either.
Okay. So like, is it as big as a problem here in Wisconsin as it is out there where people get catfished a lot?
Not really sure, because as a woman, really as a woman, you don't encounter that so much. I feel like male catfish are really obvious.
Okay, yeah.
And I'm also realistic about my prospects. Like, if someone's a 10 out of 10, he's probably not going to go out on a date with me anyway, so I'm not going to go for it. I think men have more optimism about that stuff.
I'd say after about 4 years of trying it, my optimism is not so high anymore. It's I've got a realistic view.
Online dating is rough. The gender ratio is just not in your favor, but here's the good news. As you get older, like way older, this stuff is a total breeze. My grandfather was single from, what was it, probably age like 60 to 85, and he was swimming in it.
Well, I've got 30 more years to go. Let's do this. All right.
That's it. That's all you got. Because the thing is, men die younger than women on average. So if you just keep surviving and you're like relatively healthy and not like a complete just like pile of burning garbage, if you're like sort of a pile of burning garbage, like that's still okay, you'll have no problem dating. It's going to be really easy.
I wish I could carry your optimism over, Brett, but like, all right, thank you for that pick me up, I guess, maybe.
You know, rest in peace, but my grandfather was not always easy to date for anyone ever, actually, and he had no trouble, so I really have faith in this.
Oh, goody. Well, if I can only get my son Kanye to not hate everybody who comes into this household, we'll be on the right track. So.
Okay, good luck.
Yeah. All right. So that wasn't the worst part of the date, is what you just said.
No, not even the worst part of the date. So we started talking, and he was pretty rude and abrasive. But people can get like that when they're nervous. So I was like, you know what? Like, let's just see where this goes. And I didn't have anything better to do. So really, the reason why I sat there is because I didn't have anything better to do, I would say.
Okay.
Clearly I knew it wasn't going to work out. But we, chatted for a little bit. He said that he was surprised that I went on a date with him after his first message to me. And I was like, what do you mean? And he pointed out that, so I hadn't noticed this, but he'd actually made a joke about how he wanted to come on me in the first message, but it was subtle, so I didn't get it. But then he told me on the date, and I was like, "That's disgusting. If I'd noticed that, I wouldn't have gone on this date with you."
Did the joke did the subtlety just go over your head, or were you like, "That's kind of a cute other thing that he was talking about"?
No, it just went over my head. I'll explain. So there's a really, really cool thing out here in California. This crazy guy, he went out into the desert one day and he was like, I got to tell everyone how much God loves them. So he built this mountain made out of like concrete and lead paint and cars. and he painted Bible verses all over it, and like, you know, messages about Jesus and stuff. And there's one that's like, Lord, let me come onto your body and into your heart, is on the mountain. And I was standing in front of that one, and that was, you know, the picture. And I just, you know, I didn't notice. And he had messaged like, oh wow, that or he was like, ooh, sounds great, I'm in. And I thought he meant like, oh, like visiting Salvation Mountain sounds great, I'm in. But he didn't mean that. So
That
yeah.
that's almost too subtle, you know what I mean?
Yeah, it was too subtle.
Yeah.
So I didn't get it. And but he really shouldn't have told me that, I think. Pointing out that he said that was, I think, the wrong move in a series of many wrong moves.
Well, okay,
Uh-huh.
now I'm glad you paused there because you could almost hear the wheels turning. His first comment was, "Thank God you're not a fatty," and you think that that was an okay enough move to continue with the date even moving forward, but it wasn't until the extra parts where you were like, "All right, this is done."
No, actually, so not only, so first of all, I didn't think it was an okay move. I was just like, this is going to be entertaining. Let's see what
Oh,
happens.
okay.
And also, the second one, I still stayed there because I was like, boy, this is off the wall. Let's see what he says next. And he didn't disappoint.
I
Uh,
continue. I'm sorry. I'm enthralled. I can't wait to hear what happens next.
yeah. Gosh, I'm trying to remember the order of stuff. So, um, oh yeah. So I am a Unitarian, which is like, I'm an agnostic. Like, I don't really believe in stuff, but I have this like community with like a church where they're sort of like, being nice to people is cool. Maybe there's a God. And
Okay.
like most of the people who go there believe in God, and I like them a lot, and they're very smart, nice people. And he said like the most fucking condescending thing about like about like how only people who are like retarded are religious or something. It was like gross. It was incredibly rude. Like, even though I'm not myself religious, I thought it was so fucking horrible.
Okay.
He also said, and this was weird because we're both white people, but he said, um, he was like, why aren't you a marine biologist? And I was like, what? I
Um,
actually said, what the fuck are you talking about? And he said, every decent looking white woman is a marine biologist. Why aren't you a marine biologist?
I, d- but I don't like. I can't process that.
Yeah, no, I don't really get that one either. Anyway, we were there long enough that I finished my drink and got another one, and he didn't offer to pay, which I think you should offer. You know, I would have said no, but you know, it's polite to offer.
Okay. Okay. That's.
Granted, in relation to everything else, that's real minor.
I'm so like I. Now I see why you'd stick around. Was this dude like a dumpster fire where you looked at him, you're like, yeah, some shit's gonna go down.
Um, yeah, I mean, yeah, the first thing out of his mouth was so batshit crazy. I was just like, I gotta see where this goes.
Okay, so yeah, like because I went into I had one Walmart person. She was wearing a very short skirt with a raccoon tail, which I only could
Oh
assume
no,
was
what?
was not part of the skirt she was wearing, like a raccoon tail with little
Oh,
ears, and I had to stick around. I had my cart ready. I was ready to check out. And I was like, nope, I need to find some more stuff and see what happens. You know,
oh boy,
so I
yeah,
nothing happened. Absolutely nothing happened. But it's one of those things where you can't stop looking and you have to investigate a little bit, you know?
yeah. I used to work night shift at a grocery store, which is really when crazy people come in, and a thruple came in, clearly acting out their fetish of both of the women in the thruple acting like little babies. So they like stuffed themselves into the little child carts, and they were calling their boyfriend daddy, and yeah, it was real weird.
Was
Uh,
this a 24-hour grocery store?
No, it closed at 10 p.m.
This was before 10 p.m.
Yeah.
Was this in California too?
Yeah, it was in California.
That makes sense. I visited San Francisco one time, and there was a giant parade going around, and the only thing a man was wearing was a yarn around his neck that was tied to the tip of his manhood, and I will forever have that image burned into my head.
Yeah, I mean, San Francisco Pride is an outlier even in California. Pride where I live is actually pretty tame. There's like a lot of kids who come, and it's a kid appropriate event, and pretty wholesome fun overall.
And this was Thanksgiving too, by the way. So
that wasn't Pride?
No, it wasn't Pride. Just a bunch of people just kind of showed up down at the pier. This was this was maybe like 7 or 8 years ago. But all I remember is a bunch of people showed up on bikes, a couple dudes, and this naked guy. I just saw what appeared to be a naked person on the right side of my eye, and I was just like, that doesn't look right. And then I looked over. It was like that. Welcome to California. And then two people tried to sell me weed. Two very different people tried to sell me weed in the exact same spot when I entered and exited the park, which was pretty impressive.
Oh yeah. People sell drugs in the parks. It's actually really nice if you don't have any and you want to spend a long day in the park, because you just get a little weed or a little whatever else you're into and enjoy the day. Just chill.
I saw a girl camping in the park too. That was impressive with her dog. I didn't know what to make of that.
Normal. People will, like, if they're gonna spend the whole day in the park, which is normal, some people will like really bring the whole kit and caboodle.
That's kind of cool that they don't get kicked out though.
Yeah, it's really nice. I love the San Francisco parks. I really wish I lived somewhere where like there's parks where I live, but no one ever uses them.
Oh, really?
Yeah, it's very strange.
Oh, I would say where I live. I'll tell you off air. But we have three very large parks around us, and let's just say that I could take Helios out and pretty much walk a mile and be stopped at least 20 times by people wanting to take photos of him. It's adorable. So, the parks
What breed is he?
He is a sun conure.
What's that look like?
A rainbow. And a parrot.
Oh wow!
Yeah, I'll send you a photo after this, but he's adorable. He does like to go outside, like he likes to visit the big wide world around him, and that's how I've been trying to get ladies is by hoping. But all I attract are older couples with cameras who are taking their sons or daughters to the local place that is near me, and asking for photos, which is kind of cool.
Yeah, I mean it's cool, but could you borrow like a friend's dog or something that might get you like a younger crowd?
I know, right? My buddy Brandon's got a beautiful dog by the name of Ellie. She's like a greyhound, but very, very small. But I don't know.
Oh, cute.
I know.
Yeah,
right?
Borrow Ellie. There you go.
But anyway, so we went off on a tangent there. I apologize. I'm really good at that. What else happened? I gotta know. Like, enlighten me.
Well, actually, after that, so it turned out he and I went to the same high school, even though I never knew him there, which was strange because there weren't that many people. So we actually just ended up talking a lot about that, and then talking about D&D, because I was trying to DM a game, and he was a pretty experienced DM, so he gave me some tips. So honestly, after that, it was pretty normal, but clearly the whole thing was just fucking bonkers, and he ruined all chances. And I really don't understand that, because it was like he did it on purpose. It's like he just said like the worst shit that could come out of a person's mouth on a first date, and I don't understand why.
I mean, I had a date where I sat down with a very this was back in like 2007 when I was going on dates, when like Plenty of Fish was still kind of brand new, and I had very, very blatantly gotten catfished by a woman who was quite larger than I thought. And I was going to stick through the date. I wanted to see it through, and I wanted to. I wanted to get the biggest part about me is I have like a trifecta. How nice of you are a person. How intellectual can you be? Because I'm a big. I forgot it now. It's the one where you find intelligence to be sexy, and then looks come later, because I know as I'm 34, looks are not right. If I'm dating around my age, looks are not something that are going to be there for very long. But the first words out of her mouth were, I'm on a date with you, and my boyfriend totally knows. So just so you know, you're not getting laid. I was like, oh, fucking.
What?
I was like, and this was like, I didn't know polyamory was a thing. I kind of knew about the cuckold thing a little bit, you know, from my adventures on the internet. But like, I was like, that's the first, like, seriously, what? That's it? That's the first statement out of your fucking mouth? I'm okay. Like, that would have been nice to know before I asked you out.
Yeah.
Boy,
that's a disaster.
Oh, I had already placed my order, and I was famished, so I ate my food, went to the bathroom.
This is why coffee dates are good, because
Yeah.
you can drink your coffee in less than 10 minutes, and then you can pretend to have an emergency.
Oh, well, yeah, no, that's fair. Well, like, okay, let me ask you this: what kind of coffee do you get?
Usually I just get a plain latte. If I'm just getting a drink that's like fun and delicious, like purely, I actually love boba, and I live in an area where there is so much boba around. Probably more boba places than coffee places, in fact.
Okay, yeah, I'm straight Valley girl. I get the caramel frap. I love it. I don't know what it is about
Those
it.
do sound pretty good. I just don't like sweet coffee. It's like, it sounds good in theory, but I know I don't like it.
Well, see, I drink it, I get wired, and then I pass out like 2 hours later. So,
That would be a problem.
good nap. But the good news, Brett, is that you found your other half, right?
Yeah. Well,
Yeah?
actually, I had one more bad date first, but that one was my fault.
No, you have to share that now too.
Okay.
Make it quick,
Yeah.
whatever you want. I want to hear how you made it bad.
This guy on Hinge, and I was like, that guy's handsome. I'm gonna shoot my shot. So I was like, hey, I think you're very handsome. Would you like to go on a date? And you usually don't get messages like that on dating apps. So has a pretty good success rate. So we scheduled something, and I had a friend in a band that I liked and wanted to support, and they were doing a show at this warehouse in a city like I thought was super close to me, but turned out actually to be pretty fucking far. And it was like a warehouse show. It was like, let's go to my friend's warehouse show on Thursday. That'll be great. So we show up, and pretty clear, like immediately, we don't have a lot of chemistry, but it's like, you know what, whatever, like, let's just have a good time. So we go into the show, and bands keep playing, and bands keep playing, and bands keep playing. My friend's band does just not come on. And also, almost everyone else who's there is like just graduated from high school, so we just really stuck out.
Wow.
Not that we weren't like much older, but we were older enough, you know?
Yeah.
It was just weird. That was the first time I was really in an environment where I was like, I'm fucking old. And then one show came on, and it was just this guy's experimental music project, and he was clearly having like a bad acid trip or something. And it's just playing like weird, like, I don't know how to describe it other than like dour, grating music. And he took off his shirt, and he was just like so sweaty, and he walked into the crowd, and he got like 3 inches away from every single person in the crowd individually, and would just stare them in the eyes for like a full minute and yell, "You're okay, you're okay." No one was.
Did you guys drive there together, or did you take separate vehicles?
We drove separately. He was very polite though, so he was trying to stick it out for.
What a gentleman.
Yeah, nice guy. I really hope that things worked out for him with someone else shortly afterward, because he did not deserve to have to go through something like that again.
You know, if a woman did message me, because when women message me on dating apps, there's a very, very high chance that I reply almost too fast. But I'm not gonna lie, I probably would have done exactly what he did and stuck it out through the date, because it's like, damn it, she messaged me, so.
Yeah, no, he was a very, very polite man. We had a nice conversation about New Jersey, because that's where he was from, and then we never saw each other again, which I think is the only way that could have ended. And my band never came on.
Well, that's awesome, though. I mean, what a way to just knock it out of the park there, Brett.
Oh man, yeah, I was doing really, really well. My boyfriend now, actually, who was the date I had after that, he actually showed up super late. But after those 2 bad dates, I was like, I'm gonna give this guy a fucking chance. That's all right. Let's see if he shows up. Can't be worse than the last two.
How late was he?
45 minutes late.
Ooh. Oh, so let me ask you this. Where do you draw the line?
Well, I would normally have drawn the line at like 25, 30 minutes, but I was reading Good Omens, which is such a good book. And I was just like, I'm going to bring my book and I am going to start reading it. And if I finish and he's still not here, then I will leave. No big deal.
That's impressive. I draw the line at about 20, 30 minutes. I once waited an hour and a half. So
Oh no.
It's all right. It resulted in a free dinner, so I'm happy about that.
That's good, but
Yeah.
also sad. I'm sorry.
It's fine. Brett, again, you want to go ahead and pimp yourself out? Let the people know where you can find you?
Yes, you can listen to my podcast Beyond Buds on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, wherever podcasts are found. And you can also follow me on Twitter at CannaBrett. That's CANNABRET. Just CANNABRET. Yeah, absolutely. Thank you so much.
Oh, it's been an absolute pleasure. And this is the actual official end to the episode because Brett came on at the last minute. So, Brett, thank you for finishing out the show.
No, thank you.
And I'll see you guys on the 100th episode coming up. Bye now.